This is a very comfortable seat. My name's Mike Leiderman, and the seat is comfortable because it's part of the set of the Victory Garden's wonderful new play, Beau, Jest. That's spelled J-E-S-T. It is done by James Sherman, and many of us in Chicago already know James Sherman as the man who's put together some wonderful drama here in town and, of course, around the country. Most recently had a lot of success with The God of Isaac. Beau, Jest is the latest, and it explores relationships, but in a different way, with different twists, but a lot of the same religions that Jim has put into his other work. James Sherman, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
You know, before I saw you, you were Jim. Now you're James. You're really moving up.
I'm trying to be a grown-up. I'm working on it.
You've done extremely well, and I understand you're coming back to Chicago now after living in New York for a while.
I'm officially back in Chicago and very happy to be here.
Okay, and the play is doing really well, and that's what we're going to concentrate on today. Next to James, another very familiar face, Roslyn Alexander, who plays the role of the mother in the play. Miriam?
Miriam Goldman.
Wonderful. Good to see you again.
Thanks.
Always,
nice
always.
to see you, Mike.
And to Roslyn's left is a familiar face, too, not necessarily from Chicago, Michael Guido. Michael, good to have you.
Thank you.
This was your first Chicago play, right?
Yeah, I came here about a year ago. I followed Jim. He scouted out for me. He told me it was a good place to be, and so I came.
Friendly natives.
Yes, yes, and I've loved it. And this is the first play I've done here, and I've been here about 10 months, 11 months. Been doing a lot of industrials and commercials,
and people know you, of course, from the soaps.
From yes, from All My Children.
All My
I
Children.
guess.
This
yes,
is the detective right here, folks. This
The
is the
detective.
same person. Let's go back, James. You had so much success with God of Isaac. This one, as opposed to God of Isaac, doesn't star you.
No, you noticed.
How come?
Well, this play is based on a true story that was told to me by a fellow I knew in New York who was an actor, is an actor, terrific actor, and as many actors do, was looking for what we call a survival job. And he got work with an escort agency. And he had read God of Isaac. He happens to be this tall, dark, good-looking Irish Catholic fellow. But he read God of Isaac, and he said, you know, speaking of being Jewish, I have a funny story to tell you. And he told me that while he was working for this escort agency, he was once hired by a young Jewish woman to pretend to be her boyfriend. And he told me this story. He only met her a couple of times, but it was just such an incredible story that I filed it. He told me the story about 7, 8 years ago. And after doing God of Isaac, I wanted to continue to explore the same kind of generational relationships that I did in God of Isaac. And I remembered that story, and it was just a way in which to get into another play that could continue that exploration.
And the lead is female, not male.
And the lead is female, so...
Okay. Let's set it up.
Yeah, okay.
Let's set the whole thing up. Michael, you play an actor, okay? Roslyn, you play the Jewish mother, okay?
I'm the
James, you're the playwright. What are we doing here?
Well, so we have this apartment in Lincoln Park in which lives Sarah Goldman, and she is involved with a young man who's a very nice man, but he's not Jewish. And she's concerned that her parents will not approve. So she says, all right, to her parents, I'm not going to see that guy anymore, and she keeps seeing him on the sly. Well, her parents keep trying to fix her up, thinking she's available. She doesn't want to get fixed up with anybody else, as none of us single people really want to be. And so she invents a boyfriend to tell her parents about. Regales them with wonderful stories about this wonderful Jewish man she met, and they want to meet the fellow, of course. So she calls an escort service, hires an actor to come over and pretend to be her boyfriend. It gets complicated, of course, because it turns out the escort agency messed up, and the fellow they sent, he's not Jewish either. So he has to pass himself off not only as being her boyfriend, but as being Jewish.
Interesting challenge for you, Michael, I would assume. You're playing somebody playing an actor.
Yeah, and a very scared actor because
you walk into this rat's nest here.
Yes, exactly. And the fun and funny part about it is, of course, I don't find out any of the specifics till I get here. I expect, I've only done one job before, and I expect a little old lady who needs to go to dinner, and she needs a companion, and then I turn around and meet Sarah, who's a very young, attractive woman who's obviously in love with this, or her boyfriend's in love with her as I enter into the scene. And I'm not quite sure what I got myself into, and then as the scene progresses, I find out why I'm here, why I've been asked here, and find out that not only I'm supposed to be Jewish, but I'm also supposed to be a doctor and a surgeon and other things, all for her parents' benefit. My preparation for this would simply be, what would I do if I were in this situation? I found fear and panic to be the first things that came to mind.
Michael, what was harder, pretending to be Jewish or being a doctor?
I would say they were both equally terrifying.
Many challenges, and of
Yeah.
course, the fear aspect comes when you enter the scene along with your husband, played by Bernie Landis, another wonderful Chicago actor who's been in many plays. You just walk through this as the lovely Jewish mother who wants nothing but the best for her daughter, right?
Right. That's a line.
Not so sure.
Well, do you want me to address myself to that?
Go ahead.
That is the other plot of the play. The daughter who tries to please her parents, the good girl, the thoughtful child. And we realize by the end of the play that this does not engender the kind of trust that there should be between the generations, because she has to lie to please her parents. And she's not comfortable doing that. The parents are thrilled with the boyfriend. This is just what they wanted for their daughter. And they don't really want to run her life like she's afraid they want to do. They do want what's best for her, but as in many families, when parents want the best for a child, they are sometimes overwhelming in their advice and their concern, their hovering concern, and they don't leave the kids alone. And this is what can happen. Now, in the end, the daughter learns.
Let's not get too far ahead of
Okay.
ourselves, because we've got a segment of the play that we'd like to show you. And I think a lot of the wonderful humor comes when you, Michael, have to pull off this coup of being Jewish and a doctor. I don't know which is funnier, but they're both hysterical. Jim, set us up. Where are we going here?
Okay, well, we are in Sarah's apartment. Sarah Goldman is played by Linnea Todd. And the family's coming over, and so Michael is there as her make-believe boyfriend. There are the parents and Sarah's older brother, Joel, who's played by Fred Stone, who is not as, I hate to use the word gullible, but he's suspicious. So he doesn't have as much investment in liking the boyfriend that the parents do. And they've come over for this family event, and it's a challenge to not only get through the dinner with the kinds of dynamics that go on in any family, but also because we have this special situation going with this fellow trying to pass himself off as Dr. David Steinberg.
Dr. David Steinberg, or a comedian of a similar name.
Right.
Let's have a look at a scene from Beau, Jest.
You have to save your hands for your surgery.
Surgery! Right, of course, I'm a surgeon, aren't I? Boy, you never know when I'm going to have to operate on someone.
I notice you're not wearing a pager.
No, I left it at home. I didn't want to be disturbed.
You left it at home.
Yeah, well, it's my day off.
Well, what if there's an emergency?
Oh, well, I've got a guy covering for me.
You're at what hospital, David?
Oh, didn't you tell them, sweetheart?
Yes, I did, sweetheart. I told you, Mother, he's at Northwestern Memorial.
Oh. Do you know Dr. Frankel? My neighbor went to him with her hypertension.
Dr. Frankel. Dr. Frankel. An older man, yes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, if you're tense, especially if you're hypertense, you can't do better than Dr. Frankel.
Shall we?
Oh, I've got my family together for Shabbos. Where's your family, David?
My family?
I told you, Mother, David is an only child. His parents live in Florida.
Where in Florida?
Miami Beach.
North!
North Miami Beach. Of course, north. Completely north.
I'm sure they're very proud of you.
If they could only see me now, they'd be very impressed.
May I? ato Hashem Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivonu lahadik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Amen.
Joel, say the Hamotzi.
Baruch atah Hashem Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Amen.
David, would you like to say the bracha for the wine?
No, David doesn't want to do it. You do it, Daddy.
No, I'll do it. It's my pleasure. Baruch atah Hashem Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagolfen. Amen.
Amen.
To life, l'chaim.
Let's eat!
Oh boy, I mean, I was taken in. Wonderful, just wonderful stuff. And there are so many similar coups that you pull out, James, from, you know, from everything from the Haggadah to the Siddur, from Hebrew school, I mean, you name it.
Well, it's not easy being Jewish. We know this.
We found this out, but somebody did a pretty good job. Maybe it's not as hard as we think.
That could be.
Michael, what kind of preparation did you have to go through in terms of Jewish ritual? And you got that accent really nicely down.
You like that?
Yeah.
Well, I got a lot of coaching from James and Bernie and Roz. We had a lot of expert opinion on there to help me out because I was lost without their expertise, as you might
did
imagine.
An excellent job. And
thank you.
you're able to take something that essentially could have been a one-line joke and really played it and expanded it, and it's such a kick for the audience. And the audience, I guess the time we saw it was a combination of younger people and senior citizens. And everybody was, I mean, not to give you too much of a plug here, but everybody really was enjoying it on many different levels. You know, this whole Jewish mother idea, which is traced to your generation and maybe the generation before, we'll see what happens with our generations, although I don't think it's all that much different. You said before that, well, you don't really want to control your daughter's life. You want what's best for the daughter. Come on. You wanted to marry the doctor. You wanted to marry somebody with a practice or an inventory. You
Now-
wanted to be happy.
Oh, see, now you're one of those subjects that I have to work on because
Okay. I'm just
Jewish
asking the questions of the audience.
Jewish mothers get a bad press. First of all, you said something about my generation or the previous generation. It's
I'm
very
in
interesting
big trouble
that
now.
even my generation, we think of ourselves as Jewish daughters. Nobody thinks of herself as a Jewish mother. There's a play in that, Jim.
Good point.
I was delighted in God of Isaac and in this play that people liked the character I played because they do come off of, as you say, controlling, overwhelming, a little obstreperous. But as James has always said, it's all done with love. And generically, speaking of Jewish mothers generically, I think who voiced it the best for me when I get on my soapbox was Irving Howe in World of Our Fathers. Here's a generation of women who came to this country at the turn of the century in the Great Immigration. Who are the families that came? Families who were highly motivated. Families where there was aggressiveness, where there was ambition, where there was a great desire to have the children get an education and have a better life. The daughters of those families, the mothers of those families, could not express this for themselves. The only work they could do was in a sweatshop. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't go to night school, many of them, because they had to raise these large families in hovels, in tenements. And they did a great job. Those sons that make jokes about Jewish mothers today, in one generation became doctors and lawyers and accountants.
Yeah.
That's what the Jewish mothers had to accomplish. It's not always easy. You know, sometimes they get a little abrasive, but all the ambition that they felt for themselves and their people and their generation had to be expressed through their sons and husbands. They needed that push.
So speaking for my generation,
Yes.
the situation that I find myself in and what I try to show in the play is that the sons and daughters do have a certain expectation to live up to, that in an extreme is taken on as an obligation, so that I take responsibility for myself. I hate to speak for my whole generation, but we see it, we say, okay, we have to live our own lives. Well, we are, and we have to take responsibility for it, and that's really the big question that I'm trying to address in the play. That yes, certainly we are influenced by our parents, as all children are, you know, regardless of their background. But basically, we have to take responsibility for ourselves, and I think that's what Sarah learns in this play.
And Sarah, at the beginning, is not someone who is rebelling against her parents. She really wants to please them.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and she gets herself into more and more of a web by trying to steal a line from a movie, to do the right thing, and she ends up really in really large trouble. But again, going back to, there was a famous television show that David Susskind did many, many years ago, you may remember, where he had mothers of all different ethnicities and nationalities, trying to show that Jewish motherhood is really something that is universal. I'm still not convinced, but I'm a lot. You know, Michael, coming out of your household, I mean, what was it like in your home growing up?
Well, we had discussions about this, and I said Italian, three-quarters Italian. Even though I grew up down south, I wasn't exposed to New York. I was born in New York, but I think the themes in this are kind of universal, and I think the over-loving, over-protective parents that want that are kind of slightly overbearing for all the right and wonderful reasons, I think exists in every kind of possibly in every ethnic family. Certainly, it did so in my family. And I'm Italian, and I see a lot of similarities in this. You know.
I think that certainly everything that Ross says is well taken about where we came from, where my grandparents came from the old country and had that ambition. But there's also a big connection just to the fact that Michael and I are the baby boom, the post-war baby boom. So it's also our parents that grew up in the Depression and came through the war. And my generation has more freedom than I think any generation beforehand. And with that freedom comes more options, more choices. And so we get confused with, you know. And the first thing is we want to do the right thing. We want to please our parents. We want to do the best that we can because our parents worked so hard to achieve what they achieved. And it becomes a quandary sometimes.
Yes, it does. But could you, I don't know whether you could or not, but could you do this in another religion, in another nationality, another ethnicity? Can you apply it the same way?
You know, I bet I could.
I think you
so.
could, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because in fact, there's a couple, I'm probably the only one who thinks this, but there are similarities between this play and August Wilson's play Fences, which is very much about the father and the son. Any play in which there are parents and children, you know, I used to refer to The God of Isaac as my glass menagerie because the primary relationship was between the son and the mother. These characters in this play are Jewish because I wrote it, you know.
But you were starting to say, you could pick up on that. I mean,
well, no, I was just the point you were making before. I think our generation has more risky options opens. I mean, to us. I mean, we can be an actor and a playwright. Our parents couldn't afford to do anything like that because it was a whole different kind of economic climate, and so we're afforded luxurious kind of options that our parents couldn't even think about, and so that right there is going to present generational kind of differences that I think are part and parcel of our generation.
And the other side of the coin is interesting. James just alluded to it briefly. As much as the children feel obligated to please the parents probably make their biggest mistake in trying to please their children. And they're doing it in this generation and in our children's generation. They feel that they must please and win and nurture and make everything easy for their children.
without giving away too much of the ending, it's not the kind of situation where if we took the play past where it ends, you, Mom, are not going to go home and open a vein?
No, I think I've learned a great deal because I see my daughter's pain. And the key line of the mother changing is she says to Sarah, whatever you want to do, you do.
And she means it.
It's going to be painful for her. She'll make a lot of false starts and adjustments, but she does mean it.
It's so interesting to watch you play the character that everybody hears is stereotyped. Okay, a Jewish mother, but you play it so well and with so many nuances. It's not a stereotype. You just, when you see it grow, when you see the character grow on stage, you say, well, there are a lot of facets to this woman. She's not just a shrew. She's not just a nag.
Well, see, I take that as a mission. That's what I do for Jewish mothers everywhere.
My mother isn't either. I just want it to be. No, no.
Nor is mine. Okay, we're covered. Nor is mine. Or the camera people or anybody here. Well, you know, I dealt with the same situation doing The God of Isaac. People do come up to me and say, you know, you've got these stereotypes of the Jewish mother and the Jewish princess and the Jewish father, you know. Well, a stereotype only becomes a stereotype because there's a history to it. It's basic. There's some truth behind it somewhere. I didn't make this stuff up. But one of the things I try to do, and one of the things I want to communicate to an audience in my work, is that behind these so-called stereotypes, there is a very real motivation for their behavior, and to me, a lot of it is love.
Yeah. That's a hard thing to understand, I suppose, when we say, well, we're doing all this because we love you, or Mom, Dad, I'm doing this because I love you. People don't really hear that a lot. And at the beginning, neither side hears it, and at the end, everybody hears it. Nice idea. Where do you go from here?
Well, everybody's asking me, what am I going to do next? I don't know. The play just opened a few weeks ago. It's going to be running for a while, fortunately. Right now it's scheduled to run until January 21st. And opening a play for me is a very emotional experience. I've been working on the play for a couple of years, and I'm starting to think about what to do next. I really don't know. Now that I have a body of work, this is my 5th full-length play, I'm myself am starting to see recurrent themes. I didn't set out to say, okay, I'm going to, you know, do this development. It's just what's come up. And I really don't know, but I'm just enjoying being able to hang out with this one for the time being.
Yeah, it certainly is true. Michael, what about you? How's this character work for you in your career? Is it,
well,
has it been worth the trip?
Oh, absolutely. It's a kind of role I don't get to do very often, and I have Jim to thank for it because he brought me in on this. But it's a role I don't really get a chance to do very often, and it's I love comedy, and it certainly has a lot of farcical elements, and it's beautifully crafted, and it's a wonderful part, and I'm thrilled to be doing it because then on the soap I do a detective who never cracks a smile because he's a tough guy. He's got a lot of problems he's got to solve in Pine Valley, and this is something that's really refreshing in contrast. So you get a little bit of everything this way. It makes me a very happy actor.
I bet, and a long-running one, too. Huh?
Let's hope, yes.
Yeah. Roz, what about you? What has this character done for you, this part?
You know, I've played only 2 Jewish mothers in my life.
Come on.
Both for James Sherman, yes. And that's how I'm thought of in Chicago, I think, now that I'm doing this one.
Well, Steel Magnolias, you were not...
Yeah, it's interesting. People came up to me in the lobby after Steel Magnolias as I was leaving the theater, and many said almost surreptitiously, like, you are. You were the mother in God of Isaac. And I said, what's the matter? They got no Jews in Louisiana?
That's funny.
But it's been a wonderful challenge and most gratifying for all the reasons that you said, because I always told my children that I was never a Jewish mother, and I never had a Jewish mother, so I married a Jewish mother.
What do people say to you when they, you know, I know somebody stopped you on the street and told you did a great job, that was I, but when other people do they, anything particular that sticks in your mind that people have said to you about your performance?
Well, the most interesting thing so far is a woman sent a note backstage and said, are you the same Michael Guido I dated when I was 19? I'm Jewish and my mother made me stop dating you. And this is very similar to this play. Please meet me after the show. I want to know if you're the fellow. And I did, whether I had been stationed at the Great Lakes Naval Base, I guess. And I was not the fellow because I was never at the Great Lakes Naval Base, but we had a good laugh over it. And then I met her mother the week after. She just came a couple nights ago. And apparently this situation here mirrored exactly this relationship she had with a Michael Guido, who was a Gentile, and her mother did not want her to see him anymore because he was the wrong persuasion. It was pretty funny.
Who have the audiences been? Has it been entirely a Jewish crowd, or is it someone
No,
mixed?
not at all. I suppose one can make the case that the Victory Gardens theater audience is maybe slightly heavy on the Jewish side. But no, what Peter Curran, who completes the cast, he told me that his father came to see the show the other night, who's Old World Greek, and his father came with his new wife, who not only is not Jewish, but speaks very little English, and loved the show.
Didn't understand much of it?
Well, just because, again, she recognized the relationships and the family dynamics, you know, and that's what it's about. I have a neighbor whose mother is visiting from Greece and just brought her to see the show, and they had a lot to talk about afterwards.
What was the hardest part of this play for you to develop?
Well, I have been getting braver about creating women characters, so the fact that the lead character in this play is a woman was a challenge. There are so many. I mean, the structure was very delicate in terms of setting up this rather bizarre premise and letting it play out and then trying to resolve it in the end. And each of the characters presented certain problems because I am working with an entire family, and there's so much that goes on in terms of the dynamics and the relationship. So spent a lot of time on it.
It's not exactly like Victor Victoria, but it does get a little bit confusing.
Well, you know, the whole idea of one character masquerading as another goes back to Charlie's Aunt and Importance of Being Earnest and Twelfth Night, you know, and, so there's a great tradition of that kind of situation in the theater.
The play is called Beau, Jest. We have much of the cast with us. Michael Guido, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And give my best to Pine Valley when you,
I sure will.
when you return. And Roz Alexander, always good to see you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people going to come up and hug you after this, if they haven't already.
Oh, I love that too.
And James Sherman, as they say, I'm not going to give you that line, stop in and see us again because you live here now.
Right.
And we consider you a resource, and all the best.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Always good to see you. Beau, Jest at the Victory Gardens, for whom we thank for making us so comfortable. We hope you've enjoyed the program. We'll see you next time. I'm Mike Leiderman. Take care.